Irvin spent 52 years incarcerated, was released 2 years ago, pardoned by the governor. In some ways, an open and shut case, as the governor himself said.
This is my fourth time being here at Source 119. There's no reason that you should come to this amphitheater, to this room, to this class, and not realize.
So you took someone's life.
Yes.
How often do you think about him?
Life in Pennsylvania is, by law, until you die. They were virtually saying, we want you to die here because you're a bad person, you're an evil person. You are a person who is unredeemable. And I did not believe that, knowing me.
So today's class, we're calling Facing the Consequences. So I'm going to introduce you to the gentleman on the left. 2008. You were a young man then. And that's my wife in the middle, who was just like, unlike, it was just a unique, very special human being. And this was actually at a dinner that we attended in 2008. And I think Lori won an award for that the two of you were part of, and so you took a photo with her. Irvin spent 52 years incarcerated, first at Graterford and then at Rockview, right up the road here. Was released 2 years ago and pardoned by the governor. And in part pardoned, it was in some ways an open and shut case, as the governor himself said, as well as Mr. Fetterman, who was kind of heading the committee. He was the lieutenant governor at the time. That people inside of the prison system have been trying to get Irvin out of prison for many years. I remember the superintendent in 2008. I was eating a piece of pie with him. The guy who was in charge. And he said, that guy right there, we got to get him out of here. He needs to be out of here. And the more we interacted with Irvin, the more we realized what it was that all these people were seeing, the specialness of this person. This man who is now, how old are you? 76 young?
76, it'll be 77 on my next birthday.
Dang, 76 years young. The more we met him and spent time with him, the more we realize this is a man who is a friend of everybody. And a man with a mission and a man with a message. And a man who is just essentially, in the deepest sense of the word, a good human. Very special human. And so you all have the opportunity to meet him. And we're going to have a conversation. And when we get to the end, we'll open it up for a few questions and so on, and you can clearly speak with him afterwards. If he lives over behind the Wendy's there, you may have seen him and his dog. Anyway, my friend. This is Mr. Moore.
Can you hear me? With an introduction like that, I don't know what to say, but that's a lie, because I always have something to say to any and everyone that I meet. This is my fourth time being here at Source 119. Every time, I just sit here and look at these faces. I look out in the audience and I say, wow, look at these faces. There's no reason that you should come to this amphitheater, to this room, to this class, and not realize the blessings that are in your life. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Sam. I'm talking about what he brings to you. I'm talking about your interaction. I'm talking about utilizing this as a springboard for the rest of your life. I'm talking about dealing with life as if you know that life has consequences. Now, consequences don't always have to be bad. Consequences are the result of an interaction, a result of something happening.
I want to talk about morality, and I want you to think back to your childhood and your family. I'm going to start there. And what do you remember about learning about moral codes and right and wrong? What did you learn, and where did you learn it, and how did you learn it? And
Well, probably very similarly to any and everyone in here, I learned at a very, very early age the difference between right and wrong. We learn this when we're babies, in a fundamental way. Right and wrong. Something that's good, something that's bad. I come from a two-family home from Philadelphia. I tell people I was born and raised in Philadelphia, but ironically, I only spent 22 years of my life in Philadelphia before I was arrested for a crime that cost someone their life. And I was sentenced to life in prison. When this happened, I had immediate flashbacks to not what was going to occur to me for the rest of my life, but how this would impact my parents, my mother, my father. I felt so bad for them. I felt bad for the family of the victim. But I had been taught that there's a difference, a moral difference between right and wrong. And we learn these in so many ways. Sometimes we're young, as you are. And being young, we can be impulsive, which means what? We act before we actually think about cause and effect, yin and yang, the law of karma. You do this and something is going to result from that, or consequences. So yes, I was taught at a very early age what morality was, what goodness was.
so hey. So tell us, so you took someone's life.
Yes.
How often do you think about him?
Every day. I think about him every day. I believe in God. I believe in that there is, even if whatever you want to call the designer of all of this. Those of you who study physics, you understand what that means. You go down to the micro level of something, and there is a universe there. You go to the macro level, you astronomers and astrophysicists, and you recognize that there is a universe there. You think that just happened accidentally, as some people surmise. But I think in my heart of hearts that there's a designer to all of this. So, the designer and I have conversations every day. He knows me well because I have prayed and pleaded and begged him for his mercy for 52 years. Every day of my life since that event, I prayed to God to grant me mercy. And I prayed to God that he bless the soul of the individual, the victim whose life I took. So I think about Mr. Granville Sawyer.
That was his name?
That was his name.
What? Say it again. What?
His name was Granville Sawyer. And he lived maybe a block and a half to 2 blocks from where I grew up and where I was living at the time. The incident, I wanted understood that I took a life without intending to. Because, I mean, intent matters, of course, but not in a court of law. Not in a court of law. And especially in Pennsylvania, where if you're found guilty of first or second degree homicide or murder, you're sentenced to life in prison. And life is, in Pennsylvania, is not like it is on television, where, well, you do 15 to life, 25 to life. You have a life sentence, but in 13 years you go in front of the parole board. Life in Pennsylvania is, by law, until you die. So, I was your age, or a little older than you are now, and I was 22 years old, standing in front of a judge. My mother and father and my brothers and sisters behind me, my family behind me. When the judge picks the gavel up and says, "Earn more," I sentence you to life in prison. My knees buckled, because I knew what that meant. Throughout that entire 52 years, I knew I was going to come home one day. I mean, I knew life was life, but I knew in my heart, I said, I didn't mean for this to happen. They were virtually saying, we want you to die here because you're a bad person, you're an evil person. You are a person who is unredeemable. And I did not believe that, knowing me, knowing the way I felt about life, the way I felt about people, the way I felt about the possibilities that exist in all of our lives, even mine's there. I didn't think I would die there, and that was part of my prayer every night, every day. Lord, please do not let me die here. And he did not.